In less than 2 hours, the Supreme Court will take up two cases with major implications for the future of women's sports. One case centered on Idaho's transgender athlete ban looks to see if laws protecting women's sports violate the 14th Amendment. Idaho Attorney General Raul Labrador will argue in today's session. He joins us now. Mr. Attorney General, thanks so much for joining the program before you head over to the Supreme Court. Is it your argument that the court has already ruled on protecting women in sports, and so the court really shouldn't do anything different here but to reaffirm that?
So to clarify, I'm not arguing the case. The Solicitor General of Idaho is arguing the case. He's my employee, and he's arguing with my full blessing. But yes, for 50 years, women have been protected in sports. Title IX passed 50 years ago. The courts have upheld Title IX, have said numerous times that Title IX was there to protect opportunities for women and for their safety and their security. And I think it's, I think if anybody 10 years ago would have said that we would be before the U.S. Supreme Court today arguing whether a male who identifies as a female should have a right to participate in women's sports, I think most people would think that we were crazy, and that's what we're here today. So we hope that common sense prevails and that the Supreme Court and the majority of the Supreme Court, I hope all 9 justices can agree that common sense should allow women to be protected in their spaces and in sports.
So, Mr. Attorney General, when you look at most of the public polling, most people feel the same way. They feel like this is an issue of fairness. But not just the polling, 29 states have banned transgender students in sports. So why has this become such a, I guess, polarizing issue when you have the polling data, you have the laws already on the books in many states? It just seems like the few are speaking for the majority right now.
Well, we went through a crazy period of time over the last 5 years where women were shut out of these spaces. When any athlete who stood up, they were shamed, they were criticized by the media, they were criticized by political activists, they were criticized by other politicians because they just wanted to have safe spaces in sports. They wanted to be protected and given the opportunity to participate in sports. But I think all of a sudden people started realizing that it didn't make sense. When you saw these athletes who were clearly males who were competing and dominating in sports, when you saw this young lady who, I think we all saw the video of a young lady playing volleyball who was hit in the face at such a tremendous strength and speed that she actually has damages for the rest of her life. My daughter was a volleyball player in high school, and when I saw that video, I just could not believe that we were allowing this in the United States.
Yes, she dealt with damages as a result of this. Obviously, the court is not going to rule today. These are just the opening arguments right here. But how do you expect the court to rule on this matter?
Well, we hope that the Supreme Court does what the rest of America is looking at, and they realize that these girls should be protected in these spaces. I never thought I would come on Fox News and actually quote the Washington Post, but the Washington Post actually did an editorial a couple of days ago that said that in all sense of fairness, that the state of Idaho and the state of West Virginia should be winning these cases. So I think the majority of Americans, I don't think it's a 70-30 issue. I think it's an 80-20 issues, a 90-10 issue, and I think common sense will prevail today.
All right, Mr. Attorney General, thanks so much for joining the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.